Okay, so I would like to talk about open brackets versus the growth of the FGC and Smash as well. So, if you weren't paying attention this weekend, there was a bit of a conflict between Richard Lewis, who's a prominent esports journalist, and members of the FGC. On Richard Lewis's side of things, he's basically saying that the FGC is holding itself back from growing and holding its pro players back from earning as much as other people in esports can because they're against the idea of a pro circuit as a primary means of competition, with perhaps an amateur bracket that leads into it with a couple of slots. And on the FGC side of things, they're saying, but the open brackets are important to who we are. It's important to our culture. It's the entire idea that anyone competes with anyone and everyone has to take the same path to victory. Everyone is part of the same community, and the top players are just as easy to approach and ask for casuals and practice with, talk to eat with, etc. It's like these are friends, family, community. And so it devolved into something else, which was just basically back and forth mudslinging. But it's still an interesting subject, I think. Because basically, Richard Lewis isn't wrong. And obviously, it's like he's been experienced in esports for years upon years upon years. So obviously, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the financials and stuff. But for those who don't know, the way that an esports team works is, and this is going to be a really basic explanation, so please forgive me for that. But the way an esports team works is when they pick up a player, that player should be able to help the team expand their reach. So they don't just pick up a player because the player is really good, but a player who's really good has the ability to generate fans, and they're also not going to get knocked out of bracket early. So as a result, it's like they're going to be on stream often. And that's important for the team because that allows them to spread their brand over a huge audience over a significant period of time. And for the team, when they want to court sponsors or when they want to prove to sponsors that they've been doing good work for them, they can say, oh, hey, well, we have this reach through all of these different players, and it's like your brand will be here or your brand is here, and as a result, your brand is reaching more eyes. So when a team picks up a player, it's like that is an important consideration as well, right? So it's important to take that into consideration because if you're having a top player who's getting knocked out of bracket frequently, or maybe it's only the top 8 people who are focused on every single event, then what is it worth sponsoring the rest of them for, right? It's not really worth picking up all of these other players who are below them and paying them a salary because they're significantly less predictable. You need them to be on stream. You don't just need them to compete. So with that in mind, I want to talk a little bit about the FGC's perspective. The FGC, it's not against the FGC. It's not against itself growing. It's not against pro players earning money because who doesn't want people to be able to earn money for doing the things that they love? They are against the idea that money has to come in and change the culture that they've already developed over an extended period of time. Their culture of openness, of closeness with these players, of not making these players into celebrities. Just the idea that, again, that you can be pretty much family with these pro players, and the pro players are going to help you to grow as well, right? So from the FGC's perspective, it's like they want that integrity of competition. And actually, I can even use an example from Smash 4 to illustrate this very point. So in America, you see significantly more people talking about like, well, why would I not main a top tier when it's like I'm paying this much to enter bracket, and it's like I should be doing more than X, Y, and Z. I should be doing more than like 2-2. And in Japan, on the other hand, where they weren't able to make money or anything like that from locals, and I do know that esports licenses are a thing now, but where it's like, okay, you go to a local and it's like, all right, you may not be able to make any money, or rather you would not be able to make any money, then you see significantly more experimentation. You see people playing wilder characters and trying to win and do their best with the characters that they have the most fun with. So you see less diversity in America. And in America, you also see people saying things like, okay, well, why would this person not do this particular strategy? It's like they're trying to win and it's like a particular paycheck. It's like it's about like they have actual money on the line. This is a job for some people. So it's like, why wouldn't they pick this character? Why wouldn't they pull this strategy? So this isn't to say, by the way, that American Smash 4 is entirely influenced by money or anything like that, or that people don't play for fun in America, or that you need to pick up a low tier in order to have fun with the game, or in order to have like pure competition. I'm not saying either of those things, but I'm saying that people will perceive once money is involved that it's affecting one situation. And again, you can see it in how American fans talk about American top play versus a situation where money isn't involved, and you can see how that sort of plays itself out. So, integrity of competition. But again, the FGC does want to grow. So, how do we actually grow the FGC while maintaining the elements of it that are important to people? That openness, that purity of competition, the matter that pride is on the line in matches. First, there's a couple of issues to consider, right? So, one, there's actually more money to be made catering to viewers of a tournament than the people who actually come out to a tournament. And the reason why is because of the entire player base of a game, you can't get every single person out to your event. Even if you have like 600 people coming out to your event, there's still plenty more players left in different places who can't come out for one reason or another. It's not just a monetary cost to come out to an event, it's also a time cost. And so for the people who may have the ability to come out to a tournament because of like parents or something else, or because like let's say they have a job or something like that and they have pretty flexible time, for those people, yeah, all right, they can come to your event and they can spend the money there. But it's like for most people, even if they do have money and it's like, all right, they have a job that isn't as flexible, they have money and they aren't able to come to the event because they can't get the time off. So what happens is the people who are watching are going to be richer in terms of being able to provide money to the event if you can monetize them properly, versus the people who are actually showing up to the event. And that means that if you want to actually grow the FGC, you have to pay attention to the viewer experience. That's one thing that Beyond the Summit has done super well in all of their summits, but particularly like in Smash Summit, for example, because they have something interesting on every single day, they're able to maintain a high concurrent viewership, which is better for sponsors, and sponsors are more attracted to that than seeing, all right, well, you have all of 500 people watching pools on the first day, so no one really cares that you have maybe 30,000 now watching in top 8. And usually it's not that extreme of a difference, but at the same time, it's still a pretty stark difference. So that's one side of it. The other thing is that as much as we talk about the importance of pool play and everything like that, again, no one really watches pools. You may have 1,000 people watching pools, and then people start trickling in as the event goes on, but pools, people just don't watch it. It's like, if you're watching this video, you probably don't watch pools. So I don't think that that's something that should hold us back in terms of trying to figure out what else we should do on those days, because if we want to be able to monetize viewership properly, then pools play, which again, you probably don't even watch, is maybe a less important consideration. Then moving along to issues with the pro circuit itself, one of the biggest issues in drumming up support for a pro circuit is just simply people don't want to support something that they can't be a part of. If you look at subreddit, you can get a good sense of what the community is about. And they were talking about this on an episode of Esports Salon, which is Thorin's esports talk show. Basically, Overwatch community is harder to get esports content to because they like posting clips and stuff. Mods won't crack down because it's like that's what people like. That's what people do. That's what the community is. That's what your viewership is going to be. It's going to be this more casual audience. League of Legends, on the other hand, esports content is going to thrive more there. You look at the FGC subreddits now. You look at DBFC, Tekken, Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, whatever it is, and what you're going to see is it's significantly more focused on self-improvement. It's about people who want to grow and get to the next level themselves. And that means that by trying to cut off the idea that, okay, everyone can be this, that, or the other thing, which an amateur bracket would cut to a degree because people would not be attending as much. If you look at it that way, then you would have to actually end up with a completely different set of people watching in order to funnel in like the audience that you need to support a pro bracket. Now, it's possible that the existing audience works just fine because, again, these people will watch invitationals and everything like that. But at the same time, it's very difficult to drum up support for something where people want to be a part of it and you're not letting them be a part of it in the way that they want to. So, moving into potential solutions, I think there are two major ways to grow the FGC. One is to focus on growing the tournaments themselves by helping them to market themselves better, to get more people out, to improve their viewership experience and improve their ability to monetize their viewership and to gain sponsors and stuff like that. And by doing that, you help them to make more money and you help them to get wider prize pools. You help them to be able to pay more people in the community and you help them to create a more stable structure. But that requires doing that for pretty much every single tournament because, again, these tournaments are often individual entities, and helping them to get to a level where it's like, all right, you have to keep growing. And that's basically the way that the FGC has been growing. They've been growing by slowly improving like the tournament experience over time. But, again, that has been slow going. The other way is by appeasing the esports teams and sponsors and giving them a reason to invest in the top players. You could do that through a pro circuit, but again, people don't necessarily want a pro circuit, and you have to consider your audience for anything that you want to market. So, if we want these pro players to be able to be visible, but we also don't want to compromise competition, what can we do? Well, there are a couple ideas. One, you can give top players more stream time, but that doesn't necessarily solve the issue because people don't care to watch top player versus an amateur. They care to watch like top player versus top player. So that's something that wouldn't be as effective. You can also do more out of bracket events for top players. You can do more exhibition matches, things like that. But exhibition matches are usually best with a storyline. If you don't have a storyline, it can still be effective, but they're typically going to be most effective for you when there's a huge storyline behind it. So, for example, Sonic Fox versus Goichi, the first time, it was the first time they would meet each other in battle. It's like, okay, East versus West. And that's something that's super interesting for people. But again, it's like the storyline helps to build that sort of thing up. The other way you can do this is to let top players skip pool play. And I know that people are already going to hate this idea, but this is maybe because of my fencing bias, one of my personal favorite ideas. And the reason why is because it's really a more, in my opinion, a really extreme form of the way that seeding works. So the entire reason that people are against the idea of having top players skip pool play is because everyone should start from the same area. Everyone should have to go through the same path. But it's like they already don't have to do that as a result of seeding, right? As a result of seeding, number one probably gets a bye in his first round. And on top of that, if they go 0-2, then number 356th or whoever unranked, if they also go 0-2, the person who was ranked number 1 is already going to be ahead in bracket. And that's because they actually achieved something. They have the merit of their accomplishments behind them. And I think that the letting a top player skip pools is just a more extreme version of exactly that. what that allows you to do is it allows you to appease the esports teams and sponsors by saying, all right, this person's not going to get upset in bracket before a particular point. We have all of these high-level matches for people to watch, so it's like there's going to be higher viewership. So if you pick up, say, number 64 or something like that, that's going to be valuable to you in a way that picking up number 64 wouldn't be now. But in either case, I feel like that's one valid way to grow. And I feel like the other way, again, like trying to grow like the tournaments themselves is equally valid. But that would require a very concerted effort on the part of TOs. And the thing is, it's not like they haven't been trying. It's just something that's really difficult to do, really difficult to put together. Over time, I think we'll see what the best way to go about this is. But personally, I think that the idea of just letting top players skip pools, I think that it allows the sense of community to remain. It's like top players have more free time to play casuals with people. I think that it allows people to still remain part of the same community and not necessarily celebritize these top players, but reward them for what they've already accomplished by putting them in a particular place in bracket. If you agree, disagree, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so just put it in the comments below. But thanks for watching all the same, and see you next video.